So tonight we will be hearing from the biographical, there are two different books where Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj is being mentioned. One of them is Srila Bhakti Balabhatirtha Maharaj, and that's a little bit more concise, but there's a very lengthy account of his life which has many wonderful parts to read from, which is called Babaji Maharaj, written by an ISKCON devotee. It has it on the folio, what his name is. Yeah, but I forget. No, Rupa Vilas wrote Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Radha Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Jiyo Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiyo Ki Jai. Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai. Shri Nishinga Bhagavan Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Statarasata Shri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Statarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Statarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Statarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Dayata Madhava Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Tadiya Avir Bhav Mahamahotsav Titi Srila Bhakti Dayata Madhava Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Statarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Statarasata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Mahabhagavat Shri Srila Gaura Das Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Tadiya Tirobhav Maha Mahotsav Titi Srila Gaura Das Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Vaishnava Sarvabhaum Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Shri Rupa Anuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Gauriya Vedanta Charja Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Narottam Srinivas Yamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Gaura Parshada Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sigaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Navadvipa Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvadashavanatmaka Shri Braj Mandala Dhama Ki Jai. Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Kartik Vrata Ki Jai. Urja Vrata Ki Jai. Damodar Vrata Ki Jai. Niyama Seva Ki Jai. Braj Mandala Parikrama Ki Jai. Parikrama Kori Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Kadasi Titi Ki Jai. Shri Madhava Titi Ki Jai. Shri Bhishma Panchak Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Prema Nandi Hari Hari Bo. Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayati Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo mahabhadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namani gaura tishe namah. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Nama Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And on this appearance day of Param Puja Pad Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Dayata Madhav Goswami Maharaj, I offer my obeisances at his divine lotus feet. And on this disappearance day of our most revered Paratpara Gurudev, the spiritual master of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that is Srila Nitya Leela Pravishtom Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Mahabhagavat Sri Srila Gaur Kishore Das Goswami Maharaj, I offer millions of obeisances at his divine lotus feet. My Dandavat pranams to all my Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga and my Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. So like I said this morning, we spoke mainly on the topic of the glories of Srila Bhakti Dayata Madhav Goswami Maharaj. And this evening now we're speaking on the glories of Srila Gaurkishore Das Balaji Maharaj. I'm going to read from Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj's account of him in his book, The Associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Gauda Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtai Vipralambha Rasambodhe Padam Bhujayate Namaha. I bow down to your lotus feet, Srila Gaura Das Babaji, the embodiment of renunciation and the ocean of sacred rapture in separation. This is the pranam mantra that we always recite when we say the complete Mangala Charan. And here he's being addressed as Sakshad Vairagya Murtai. What does that mean? Sakshad Vairagya Murtai.
Embodiment of renunciation?
Yes, embodiment of renunciation. He's also said to be practically a replica in terms of extreme abnegation, self-abnegation, as was Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. But not only abnegation, because the pure Vaishnavas, they're not on the level of vairagya only, in terms of detachment. But as we've always heard, their mood is a special rag, a special vairag, meaning that rag means attachment. Rag means attachment. But this word vairagya also means detachment. It can be interpreted in two different ways. So, because he is known as Vipralamba Rasa Ambudhe, the ocean of the rasa of separation mood, Vipralamba Ras, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also addressed. Vipralambha Bhagavan, the Lord who is experiencing the extreme separation moods, because he's an embodiment of Srimati Radhika and Krishna, tasting the moods of Radharani. So, as Srimati Radhika, both in meeting and in separation, experience the highest levels of Mahabhav Prem, so Krishna, who came in the form of Gauranga, he was absorbed and immersed, especially in Sri Jagannath Puri, at the end of his pastimes, especially extreme renunciation. So we're going to be reading, we've already sang this song today, but Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj lived for 30 years in Braj. And there, he was always singing a particular song. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote that song down. That's why we have it. And what is that song? Kotai go prema moi radhe radhe. So we'll hear that song. The early life of Paramahansa Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, he was born into a Vaishya family on the banks of the Padma River in Bagayana village in Faridapur district in what is now called Bangladesh, so eastern side of Bengal. The names of his parents are unknown. His given name was Vamshi Das. He was born sometime in the middle of the 19th century. He is important to us because he was the Diksha Guru of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada the founder of the Chaitanya Mat and the worldwide Gaudiya Mats. Vamshidasa's parents had him married at an early age, according to the custom of the time, but always he remained detached from householder life. His main interest was always worshipping the Lord. When his wife died, he left home and he went to Vrindavan, where he took the Paramahansa Vesh from Bhagavat Das Babaji, who is a disciple of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, and he took the name Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. So, the next section is Gaur Kishore comes to Navadvip. After being initiated into the Babaji order, Gaur Kishore Das spent 30 years in Braja, engaged in intense religious practice. He also traveled outside of the Vraja area, visiting northern India and Bengal. While in the east, he met many of the leading Vaishnavas of Bengal and Orissa, such as Swarup Das Babaji of Puri, Bhagavan Das Babaji of Kalna, and Chaitanya Das Babaji of Kulia. In 1893, when the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was inaugurated at the Sri Mayapur Yogpit, Jagannath Das Babaji ordered him to stay in Navadvip. This is where Gaur Kishore remained for the rest of his life. He saw all the residents of Navadvip with transcendental eyes, considering them to be divine beings. He thus accepted madhukari from them, cooking everything in a rejected clay bowl. It is said that sometimes he would subsist on nothing but Ganges water and mud. Sometimes he would go for long periods without eating, chanting the holy names constantly. He set the standard for those in the renounced order who live the life of solitary worship, remaining completely independent of others. Mahaprabhu's personal envoy, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was extremely impressed by Gaur Kishore's extraordinary renunciation and his pure devotion and his attachment to the Lord. Gaur Kishore would often go to Bhaktivinoda's home in Godrumadvip, called Swananda Sukhada Kunja, where he would listen to him give readings of the Bhagavat and discuss Vaishnava theology with him. Now the section Saraswati Thakur meets Babaji Maharaj. Have you ever heard this story before? Yes. Babaji Maharaj never accepted service from anyone. He constantly chanted the holy name, sometimes counting the names on a tulsi mala, and at other times by making knots on long strips of an old cloth. His favorite texts were Narottam Thakur's Prarthana and Prem Bhakti Chandrika, which he considered to be his all in all. His renunciation resembled that of Raghunath Das Goswami, and he possessed the same attachment to Krishna. There you see. In 1898 AD, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur for the first time at Swananda Sukhada Kunja in Godrumadvip. Those of you who've been there, you can envision in your minds right now as you circumambulate the temple of Gaur Gadadhar and the Samadhi of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You come around the other side, and there is a small cottage type structure, and that is the Bhajan Kutir of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Some little dwelling was built there by Bhaktivinoda Thakur for him, that he would stay there when he would visit Swananda Sukata Kunja. So Saraswati Thakur was enchanted by Babaji Maharaj's heartfelt emotional kirtan. He wrote the kirtan down and later taught it to his own disciples. The song describes Raghunath Das Goswami's ecstatic separation from Radha. Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Govinda Ji Ki Jai. So when you go to visit the Samadhi of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, which is in Mayapur, Antardweep, at the Sri Chaitanya Mat, on the banks of Sri Radha Kunda there is also a transcription in Bengali of that kirtan, large, printed, and it's hanging there in front of his Samadhi, of this very kirtan. So, this kirtan is in our songbook. So, and what he's singing about, what Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is singing about, is what? He's singing about the ecstatic moods of separation of Raghunath Das Goswami. So, Raghunath Das Goswami is actually singing this. Kotai go premamai Radhe 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 go Jaya Radhe Radhe. What page is this on in the songbook? 118. 118?
I remember. No, it's 118.
118. You're correct. Yeah. So the first, these first two lines, he is saying, O Radha, kotai go prema moyi, Radhe Radhe. Prema Mai is a name of Radha, is it not? And what does it mean? She's completely made of prema. Prema Mai, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe go, Jaya Radhe Radhe. All glories to you, O Radha, who are full of prema. O Radha, where are you? Dekha diya prana rako Radhe Radhe, tomar kangal tomai dake Radhe Radhe. Dekha diya prana rako, O Radhe, give me your darshan and save my life. Tomar kangal tomai dake Radhe Radhe, your wretched beggar calls out to you, O Radhe Radhe. Radhe Vrindavana Vilasini, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Kanumana Mohini, Radhe Radhe. O Radhe, you engage in amorous pastimes in Vrindavan. Radhe, you are the enchantress of the mind of Krishna. Kanu Mana Mohini. Radhe Ashta Shakir Shiromani, Radhe Radhe. O Radhe, you are the Ashta Shaki Shiromani, you are the crest jewel among your 8 principal Sakis. Radhe Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radhe Radhe. O Radhe, you are the charming daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. Gosai. Now, when he says Gosai, he's talking about Raghunath Das Gosai. Gosai, niyam kore sadai dake Radhe Radhe. As a practice, niyam means practice. Niyam kore sadai dake Radhe Radhe. As a practice, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is sadai dake, continually calling out Radhe Radhe. Gosai ek baradake keshi ghate, abaradake vamshivate, Radhe Radhe. One time he's calling out at Keshi Ghat, another time he calls out at Vamshivat, Radhe Radhe. Gosai ek baradake niduvane, abaradake kunjavane, Radhe Radhe. One time he's calling out at Niduvan, and another time he calls out at Seva Kunj. Radhe Radhe. You know where Niduvan is? Where?
Near the Damodar temple.
No.
Shamasundi.
No.
It's down the path in that way.
Radharaman, right next to the Radharaman.
Oh, Radharaman.
Yes.
Niduvan, is that where they wake them up in the morning, every morning with a
Yes.
big celebration? Yeah.
Yeah, Niduvan. And then the other Van in Vrindavan is Seva Kunj. But Seva Kunj is being called Kunjavani here. Kunjavani. Gosai ek bardake Radhe Kunda, abardake Shyama Kunda, Radhe Radhe. One time he calls out at Radha Kund, and another time he calls out at Shyama Kunda, Radhe Radhe. Gosai ek baradake kusum vane, abaradake govardhane, Radhe Radhe. One time he calls out at Kusamvan. What is that? Kusam Sarovara. And another time he calls out at Govardhan. O Radhe Radhe. Gosai ek baradake talavane, abaradake tamalvane, Radhe Radhe. One time he calls out at Tamalvan, and another time he calls out at Talvan, and another time he calls out at Tamalvan. So this one, I think, is referring to the Talvan. Could be that it's referring to the Talvan forest. But the other one I'm not quite sure. But it's Tamalvan, meaning that this is a forest of tamal trees. I'm not quite sure where that location is exactly. Gosai Malin Vasan Diye Gai Vrajar Dulai Garagadi Jai Radhe Radhe. So here, describing his dress, Raghunath Das Goswami. Malin Vasan Diegai, wearing faded and worn cloth. He rolls in the dust of Vraja. Vrajar Dulai Garagadi Jai. Garagadi means rolling. And Vrajar Dulai means in the dust of Vraj. Gosai Muke Radha Radha Bole. Bhashe Nayanera Jale. Radhe Radhe. And calling out Radhe Radhe, he becomes submerged in the tears flowing from his eyes. Radhe Radhe. Gosai Vrindavane Kuli Kuli Kede Bedai Radha Boli Radhe Radhe. Vrindavane Kuli Kuli. He wanders throughout the lanes of Vrindavan. Bedai Radha Boli, weeping and exclaiming Radhe Radhe. Gosai Chapan Danda Ratri Dine Jane na Radha Govinda Bine Radhe Radhe. throughout all 56 dandas of the day and the night, and one danda is equal to 24 minutes. So throughout all 56 dandas of the day and night, Jane na Radha Govinda bine. He knows nothing but Radha Govinda. Radhe Radhe. Tarpar Chari Danda Shuti Take. Swapne Radha Govinda Deke. Radhe Radhe. And then, after all of this, he takes rest for only 4 dandas, 1 hour, 36 minutes. And what does he see? Swapne Radha Govinda Deke. In his dream, he sees Radha Govinda. Such beautiful song. So, this song, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote it down. That's how we have this song. Yes, so we just read the translation. So now the section Gorkishore initiates Srila Prabhupada. In January of 1900, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur took initiation from Gorkishore Das Babaji on the instructions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was Babaji Maharaj's only disciple. Babaji Maharaj was an anchorite who had sworn not to take any disciples, but he was forced to change his decision when he saw Saraswati Thakur's determination and devotion. The story is told that Srila Prabhupada asked Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj several times to give him initiation. The first time he asked Babaji Maharaj, then Babaji Maharaj told him, if Mahaprabhu tells me to, I will. And the second time, Babaji Maharaj told him that he had forgotten to ask. He had forgotten to ask Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada did not give up, and he came a third time. Babaji Maharaj said, virtuousness, scholarship, and other qualities are not the means to attain the Lord. They do not give you any right to initiation. What is that? Virtuousness, scholarship, and all other qualities. They don't give you a right to initiation. So though he had been turned back by Gorkishore Das Babaji repeatedly, Srila Prabhupada did not abandon his resolution. Ramanujacharya, the story of him is that he was turned back 18 times before receiving the mercy of Goshti Purna, his guru. Srila Prabhupada showed his qualities of patience and determination. He continued to come to Babaji Maharaj, humbly entreating him to give him initiation until finally his heart melted, and out of great affection, he mercifully initiated Srila Prabhupada by sprinkling the dust of his lotus feet on his head. Gorkishore Das Babaji would never allow any materialistic person to touch his feet. If they did so, he would make a show of anger, saying, "You are doomed." Most people were thus afraid to attempt it. On this occasion, however, he himself offered the dust of his feet to his dear disciple and smeared it on his body. From Srila Prabhupada's disciples, it is heard that he was turned back 12 times before Babaji Maharaj became compassionate and initiated him at his 13th request. Others say that it happened on the 4th time. This story reminds one of Narottam's initiation by Lokanath Goswami. Unswerving dedication to the Guru is the sign of a disciple. And so afterward, Babaji Maharaj, judging Srila Prabhupada to be eminently qualified for the task, he blessed him. And he ordered him to preach Mahaprabhu's message all around the world. Now, here's a section where Srila Prabhupada himself is writing this, and he's describing his Guru. Srila Prabhupada wrote the following words about his Guru with exemplary humility in order to show the world definitively the path of auspiciousness. Quote, in order to complete the gaping needs that I felt, I was busily trying to get my hands on everything under the sun. I thought that possessions would fulfill my needs. Over time, I had indeed accumulated a great number of rare possessions, but I was not able to rid myself of the sense of being unfulfilled. I had encountered many personalities who were reputed to be great saints, but saw various lacunae in every one of them, and so I was unable to give them my respect. What does lacunae mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Lacunae. So I saw that in every one of these persons, I was unable to give them my respect. Fortunately, the supremely merciful Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu allowed 2 of his dearest companions to show their kindness to me. I was egotistically so self-absorbed that I had completely lost any sense of where my well-being could be found. Even so, due to past pious activities, I was able to get the association of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was my ever well-wisher. My Prabhu often came to visit him, and sometimes he stayed overnight at his house. Out of mercy to me, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur introduced me to him. From the time that I first met my Prabhu, my stubborn egoism started to diminish. Previously, I used to think that everyone who took birth in a human body was filled with the same faults that I had. But upon seeing my Prabhu's divine character, I realized that there truly were flawless Vaishnavas in this world who matched the ideal. Many people who saw Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, whether innocent or experienced, young or old, learned or ignorant, or proud of their being advanced devotees, they were not able to truly see him. This is the divine power of Krishna's devotees. Hundreds of people came to him, seeking help in fulfilling their material desires, and he would give them advice, but this was a kind of deception. There are countless persons who take on the dress of saintly persons, and they make a show of acting like a saintly person. But on closer analysis, they are far from the standard. my Prabhu was not a cheater like them. It is clear from his spiritual activities that he identified complete honesty with the truth. His sincere affection was incomparable. It proved that the attainment of spiritual powers is a deception. He showed no enmity for those who opposed him or disagreed with him. Similarly, he made no particular external show of affection for those who were objects of his compassion. He used to say, I neither love nor hate anyone in this world. Everyone is the object of my respect. Amazingly, Prabhu, who would be surrounded by people with no understanding, fakers, and materialists inimical to the path of pure devotion, who thought themselves to be recipients of such a saintly person's mercy, but continued to engage in sensual activities. Prabhu never openly rejected any of these people, but he never openly accepted any of them either. So that's the quotation from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And now he's describing his disappearance, the disappearance of Gaura-Kishore Das Babaji. Babaji Maharaj was an expert judge of character, and he had highly developed foresight and clairvoyance, often foretelling events in the distant future. On the 30th of Kartik, in 1322, which is 1915 AD, Paramahansa Srila Gaura-Kishore Das Babaji entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord. At the time, he was residing at Ranir Dharmashala in Kulia. That's part of Navadvip. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur received the news of his disappearance, he was overcome with feelings of separation from his guru. And he immediately hurried to the site of his departure. He was heartbroken to see that the Mahantas, or the abbots of various akaras, that ashramas, means like pandas, that they were very busily arguing about where and how to bury his body. The idea of the Babaji was to lay claim, the idea of these Babajis was to lay claim to any future Samadhi temple, as such a temple would be an attractive pilgrimage site and possible source of money-making. Srila Prabhupada alone stood up, and he spoke out against this rascaldom. As things heated up, Navadvip's chief of police, Jatindranath Singh Rai Bahadur, came to maintain the peace. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada had not yet taken Tridanda Sannyas. So the Babajis argued that as they had taken the renounced order, they had the right to perform the last rites for one of their order. So as this was not the case for Srila Prabhupada, he had no rights. That was their argument. Srila Prabhupada displayed his spiritual strength, and he stated that he was Babaji Maharaj's one and only disciple. He then asked them if there was any amongst them who had not had illicit sexual relations in the previous 6 months, or even in the previous 3 months, or 1 month, or even in the previous 3 days. He who had so done would be doomed if he touched Babaji Maharaj's divine remains. Can you imagine him telling this to all these so-called Babajis? Huh? There were a huge crowd of people there. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta told them what was the effect of his displaying his spiritual power to them, what was the effect? Oh, first of all, when he heard Srila Prabhupada make this challenge, Jatindra Babu asked how anyone could prove whether or not he had illicit sexual relations. Then Srila Prabhupada answered that he would take anyone who came forward at his word. When the Babajis looked at the effulgence of pure spiritual practice emanating from Srila Prabhupada, they slowly slunk away one by one. The chief of police was embarrassed at this sight, and he paid his obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and then left himself. Some residents of Kulia told Srila Prabhupada what Babaji Maharaj had said about his last desires. Apparently, he had stated that he wished that his body be dragged through the streets of Navadvip so that it would be covered by the dust of the holy Dham. Srila Prabhupada replied, "This is my Gurudev. Even Krishna is honored to carry him on his shoulders and carries him like a crown upon his head." He said these things to confound the pride of the materialists with his humility. We may be inexperienced fools and offenders, but we should still make an effort to understand his intention. When Haridas Thakur entered his eternal pastimes, Lord Gauranga took his body to his chest and danced with it. What a precedent he set for honoring the perfected soul's departure. We would rather follow Mahaprabhu's example and carry Siddha Baba's divine remains on our head. So on the first day of Agrahayana in Kulia's Nutanchara, Srila Prabhupada performed the Samadhi rites for Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji according to the Vaishnava Smriti injunctions. A certain Podar Mahashai of Lohagara in Jeshore district gave the land for the Samadhi, renouncing any claims on the property. Later, however, he reneged on his promise, and he came to live there himself and engaged in various illicit activities on the site. During the Ganges floods, one season, the Samadhi temple was washed into the river. So on the 5th of Bhadra in 1932 AD, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur retrieved some of his remains from the Ganges bed and took them to the Chaitanya Mat, where he established a Samadhi temple on the banks of Radhakunda. The site was consecrated on the 2nd of Ashwin, and in the course of time a small temple housing a murti of Gaurkishore Das Babaji was constructed there. The murti's Nitya Seva has continued ever since. We, of course, have heard the story with more detail how Param Gurudev arranged to bring that. So there's just a little bit, okay, because now it has a short, very short section on some of the innumerable teachings of persons who met him and teachings that he gave. But on another day, I think tomorrow I want to do this still, is I want to read a whole long list of his teachings. It's very, very, every single Kartik we would have here so many of his teachings. But here's a nice little synopsis of these teachings. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur told of a few events from Gaurkishore Das Babaji's life which are full of import for the practitioner of devotional life. Number 1. On one occasion, a certain Babaji came to visit Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji with some of his followers in tow. These acolytes began glorifying their guru to Babaji Maharaj. They said, "Our Prabhu is so merciful. He takes so much trouble to travel from place to place to deliver the poor fallen souls. If he did not travel, what would be the destiny of these forsaken places? So Babaji Maharaj immediately became cross, and he answered, if someone makes a pretense of delivering the world when in fact he is only interested in making money and garnering prestige, he not only does no one any good, but he falls down for having cheated others. No one could ever come in front of him and not be exposed. All these different teachings, he saw everything. Number 2, one day, a few devotees were describing the expertise of a particular lecturer on the Bhagavat. So Babaji Maharaj knew that this individual received money for his services. He said, this fellow does not explain the Bhagavat or the scriptures of the Goswamis. He simply is speaking on the sense gratification scriptures. He isn't chanting Gaura, Gaura or Krishna, Krishna, but money, money. It has nothing to do with bhajan. The end result is that the true Vaishnava religion is obscured. Nothing good can come from it. Indeed, the world will be harmed by such preaching. Let us remember that statement. Number 3. One day Babaji Mahashai, he was chanting japa late at night when he suddenly jumped up and exclaimed, did you see that? Did you see? A professional speaker on the Bhagavad has gone to Patna district and has just made a chaste widow break her vows. What a shame. These rascals are giving Mahaprabhu's religion a bad name. He spoke as if he were personally witnessing the event. That also Jagannath Das Babaji, same. In Braj, some goats came and were eating some tulsis, and he was knocking his walking stick on the ground to chase them away, but he was in Braj. You see? Oh no, sorry, he was in Navadvip, and in Braj that was going on. And then he told that I'm chasing them away. Number 4, the owner of the Navadvip Dharmashala was a certain Girish Babu, and one day his wife offered to build a cottage for Babaji Maharaj. He answered, I have no problem sleeping under the straw shelter on a boat. The only problem I have is that so many rascals are constantly coming to me asking me to bless them. They disturb my chanting. They don't really want my blessings because they don't really want what is best for them. But they come to disrupt my chanting of the holy name. If you give me your brick outhouse, stool, place of passing stool, then I will be able to chant in peace. No one will come to bother me there. When he realized that Babaji Mahashai was serious, Girish Babu immediately had the outhouse purified with cow dung and brought in a mason to completely redo the building. That Dharmashala is where he left his body. And we have the story from Param Gurudev's, biography written by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, that Param Gurudev got his darshan in that Dharmashala. And at that time, Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj, he was telling everyone that I am sick, I cannot get up, I cannot open the door, because they wanted to come and they wanted to relocate him and give him a better place. And he would not respond, so the door remained locked. But one day, Srila Vinod Bihari Brahmachari and 2 others, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they came and knocked on the door. Oh Babaji Maharaj, please open the door. We are the servants of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We have come to have your darshan. And then he got up, opened up the door, let them in and locked the door. And then he sat there with them and gave his full blessings. And you know what blessing he gave to Param Gurudev? First of all, he put his lotus feet on their heads. And then he said, I am taking every single obstacle and every single difficulty from your life that will ever happen. I am taking that on my head. And Gurudev says that every time that Param Gurudev would remember this blessing from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he would weep. How Babaji Maharaj has removed all obstacles. So there's a couple, just two more. One day during the cold season, a devotee made a gift of a quilt to Babaji Mahashai, but rather than wrapping himself in it, he simply draped it over the tiny bamboo shelter under which he slept. And when he was asked why he did that, he answered that the cold would go away simply upon seeing the quilt. Then one day the Raja of Kosim Bazar, Sri Munindra Chandra Nandi Bahadur, invited Babaji Maharaj to his palatial residence for a Vaishnava assembly. He's like a king, you know. So Babaji Maharaj answered, if you want my association, leave all your riches and come and live under a bamboo shelter like mine. You won't have to worry about food. I will beg enough to feed both of us. If I go to stay in your palace, it won't be long before I start desiring to enjoy sense gratification. And I will start thinking about how I can accumulate a property for myself. Then before you know it, I will become your enemy. If you want to preserve our friendship, and if you wish to be kind upon me as your Vaishnava friend, then you will come to the Dham and join me in worshipping the Lord and eating madhukari. So there's one favorite song. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just so that we know, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji's favorite song was a song by Narottam Das Thakur. They were very beloved of Babaji Maharaj, and he was often heard to sing one of them in particular. All the Vaishnava teachings can be found in this one song. You know what that song is? One of the most beautiful recordings of our beloved Srila Prabhupada in his Krishna Meditations album. It's one of the most beautiful, heart-melting renditions of this song I've ever heard. Gaurapaho Nabajia Mainu. You remember that song? Gaurapaho Nabajia Mainu. That song by Narottam Das Thakur is the essence of all the Vaishnava teachings. And this is the end of this article. He's singing, Narottam is singing, I have invited my spiritual death by not worshipping Lord Chaitanya Gaura. And due to my neglect, I have lost the invaluable jewel of love for Krishna. I have rejected the real purpose of my life, and I have given my attention to worthless things. I am drowning because of my own misdeeds. I have given up the association of devotees, but I am associating with common nonsense men. And this is why the noose of karmic entanglement has been placed around my neck. I have constantly drunk the most dangerous poison of sense gratification, and so I could not merge myself into the Sankirtan movement started by Lord Chaitanya. Why am I living? What pleasure is life bringing me? Narottam asks, why did I not die long, long ago? And that's the end of this short article on the life of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. We've been very fortunate to hear this on his disappearance day in the month of Kartik on the first day of Bhishma Panchak on Ekadasi Titi. So now we're ending our Harikatha. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. All glories to Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiyo ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jiyo ki jai. Gaur Arti ki jai. Radha Krishna Jubal Arti ki jai. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Paroti Keshava
Jaya